So now let's talk a little bit about the cluster trader. This is the most junior level auto trade component we have. If you guys already have level 2, then I believe you have this. I'm not sure, but the cluster trader is a standalone available product. So the way I think of it is it's probably the lowest price point retail auto trade program that's got some proprietary build behind it. I guess that's the only way I can describe it there. So the way you would use the cluster trader is to get a chart, right click and go to strategies. And when you go to strategies, you'll have whatever strategies you have available. So the cluster trader is the TE cluster trader, and just like an indicator, you'd want to hit it and pull it new into the chart. When it's there, then you can go to the right and look at the parameters. So the parameters are 3 positions: 1 scalper, 2 trader, 3 extended, stops 1, 2, and 3, and then targets. Okay, and these would be in tick values. This strategy and the cluster trader is really built around the black tip. So the black tip that we see on our DSR model, that's it. A with filter here is pulling in the idea of looking to take signals that are in harmony with a trend, and that filter happens to be the big Mo. So below we have the actual black tip settings that you're familiar with, and these are the standard ones here: 5, 13, 30, 30, 1, 233, and 3. The 233 is the big Mo. You can enable a sound alert. The time of day is important to any strategy, and this would be tied into your computer clock. An account would need to be assigned, and what you can do is you can also have this put auto trade generated orders into a different chart and manage them from that chart. Calculate bar and close. Enabled, this is the thing that makes things go, and it's a little bit funky here, but you move it to false and hit apply, and then you can go ahead and change stuff. Okay, and then when you have it the way you want it, then you enable it, or you I should say you set it, you enable it to true, and then you hit OK, and then it will go through its process. Those are the parameters that you can adjust in this cluster trader window. There's other stuff that affects the strategy though. One is the type of chart that you're looking at: 300 volume, 300 tick, 300 minute, whatever that is. Also the time of day, which we've got here, and then how far back you're looking, your days to load. So the days to load would be something you would adjust in your data series. So as oil goes, this is looking at, so I've got 2 contracts here, and I've got a 13 tick stop for my scalper. I've got an 8 tick stop for my trader. I've got an 18 tick fixed target for my scalper, and I've got a 32 tick target for my trader. Okay, and again, that means that I could be in the money on something, get a stop and reverse, and that could book some profit there. So the way this is set here is looking for these black tip signals, and it wants to see them in harmony with the trend, which means price would need to be above the big Mo as a 233, pull back, and then give a black tip buy north of that 233. Okay. Now if you choose to not use a filter, then every black tip that fires off is triggered, and that's the way it goes. So I just changed the time here: 6 to 10 Pacific, that's 8 to noon Central, that's a 4-hour window. Go like this. These are 2 trades that it generated this morning that were losers, and it'll print them here if you go to your data series and you go to text and marker below, then it'll print the trades that happened. Also for the look back here, I've got 21 days for my 300 volume chart. So now the strategy is complete. This is looking at 21 days back, a 300 volume chart for June oil, and it's looking at all the parameters that I set there within a 4-hour window. That's it. So if I was going to scroll back, obviously it's not going to take anything in the afternoon. It could find that it has a period of time where it doesn't take any signals. Here are a couple that it took that looked like one's a winner on the trader, one's a loser on the scalper. Looks like both of them got clipped there. Here's a long where the scalper was hit, but by the way the strategy runs, the trader didn't exit here until the end of the morning. For the cluster trader, this is what it can do. It's it's the most junior level auto trade program that there is. So it doesn't have fib trails or anything like that. And here I did a video on this the other day. That's why these I was cataloging those trades there. Here's a long where the scalper was hit, the trader booked a loss, and so on. So that's whatever it's doing based on the settings that I've got right now. You can go to strategy performance, middle guy, and that'll bring up a window that'll show you performance. So this did 84 trades, under a 40% win ratio, lost money on longs, made money on shorts, did a net positive there of 690. When you're in this window here, you can go to graphs. You can hit the drop down here and go into a couple of areas. One I like to look at, trades, profits, and losses. Here's these traders being hit. Here's the scalpers being hit. Here's some trades that could have exited end of day or on stops and reverses. Ditto for these guys here. And then here are fixed stops being taken out here and here as well. Daily net profit on something you could look at. The drawdown is something you could look at. When you go below a certain threshold, that could be a trigger to stop trading. That's one that not enough people look at. Distribution on half hour is a cool thing to look at here. This breaks down the 4 hours. This showing that the most losses come here early in the morning, at least on this particular strategy, and again here at 9. So what I mentioned in the video was, if you can look at this green here is smaller than this red here. Would it be worthwhile clipping this guy off and seeing if you get a little better performance? So this is just one strategy here. There's a lot of infinite ways, number of ways to slice things. But if I was going to change things, I'd need to come back here, activate it, take that true to false. Then I can go back in here and change things. And the first thing that we talked about was cranking this down, cutting out those last sequences there, really to get rid of that red bar at the end. Remember that one trade that exited over here at the end of the morning? Now it exits up here at the end of the morning, and by default that turns into a winner. So that just goes to nibbling away at that loss that was coming whenever that was happening. Trying to find some more of them here. This is the way they look. It'll say we got long here, stop there, profit on this guy. I'm sorry, we got short there, stopped out there. On one, the other one was hit here, so on. Again, you can go to strategy performance and you go to the middle guy here and it'll give you a performance window. This one's showing 1160 here and fewer trades, about the same win percentage. So you can start to change things to account for whatever rhythms that you're seeing in the market. Yeah, you can change the Big Mo altogether. You could go back to strategies and you could say, well, I'm waiting for this relatively large Big Mo value to come into effect. What if I just kill that altogether? And keep in mind that I've got this thing set to a pretty drastic setting here with an 8-tick stop on the trader. I could say, all right, well, forget about that Big Mo. Let's just take the black tips. You see a black tip, I'm in it. A lot more trades all of a sudden. So the profitability went up to 2,000 there, but the number of trades increased more than 3 times there, almost. So do you want to deal with that many trades? Yeah, that's a lot. So same deal. You can still go to graphs, and I like looking at the distribution on the half hour. So the way this goes, when I take out that Big Mo, it turns out that the pre-market is way more profitable, and where we had losses right at about the open, those losses were diminished in a big way. The only issue here is there's a lot of trades. So you can start to tinker with this and find a rhythm for whatever market that you're looking for, and that will give you a pretty good idea of where there's a good vein of profit. I could change that big Mo to a different value. Maybe the 233 was too big, so maybe I want to drop it to a 144. Well, that definitely reduced the number of trades. It went from 86 or 70s to 80s down to 50s, but it also pulled the profitability down. I've got an 8-tick stop here for the trader, but if I was going to crank that guy up to a 15-tick and leave everything the same, that adds $400 of profit with the same number of trades. Sometimes the pre-market can get a little bit whippy there, stagnant and whippy, but anything in the morning is something that you want to look at, and then maybe a little bit more than what you would think, and then you could drill it down. If I went to a greater period of time to look at, I could drill that down some. Here's another thing. A lot of people just put all the attention to this number here and the win percentage, and this number is important. The win percentage is not that important, but as an area that's given the least amount of attention, where you have losses here. So this is clearly making money because it's in the positive here. It also booked $1,100, almost $1,200 of loss in that process. Is there something that could have happened that you could have done beyond this? Because the real goal of this thing is to put the order in the system for you and to have you manage it. This is just showing what would happen if you didn't do anything. Here it booked $2,700 worth of loss. So $3,870 of losses. Would you be able to minimize that with your level 1 skills, with everything that we spent the first hour on this morning? If you go to target 1 within 3 ticks, you move your stop to break even. If you go 20 ticks in favor, you move your stop to break even. If you go to 5 to target 2, you move it to plus 10. The level 1 skills are what can have you chisel away at this. So what might look like an okay strategy here could be actually a great entry tool in harmony with what you do with your level 1 work. The intent for the Cluster Trader program was always to get the order in the system for you and then to use your DSR chart to manage the position. Good challenge. Could you do better than allowing $3,800 of loss on those trades? Well, you can go back and find where they correlate to your chart. Just put this one on one side, get your 150 tick oil chart on the other, and go find where these entries happened. If then, apply those filters that we just talked about, or some other ones that you've created. But that's really the whole point, is to get that 3,800 and crush that number down. You do that, all of a sudden this is going to go through the roof. And this is with a marginal strategy here. Jim, volume charts are created by the number of contracts. So every candle here has 300 contracts of oil traded. The tick charts has number of orders traded. So 300 orders could have 1 contract per order. It could have 17 contracts here, 3 there, 4 there. So tick charts are volume independent, and volume charts are order independent. And both of them are time independent. They happen to be great charts to look at, though, for day trading and for systems. Anything intraday, they're very good. When you go bigger picture, then time is fine. But your intraday stuff is best handled with tick and volume charts. And that's what I look at the most. As this goes, this is a 300 volume chart right here. I could change it to a 2-minute chart. So it's taking everything that I did there. Let's make it the same here. So this is taking a 2-minute chart now and doing the same thing. I don't know how these settings are going to work out for whatever's happened. Let's check it out. So on a 2-minute chart, the way these settings go, it found 16 trades. It had a lower win percentage, 37, and it lost $50 and a little bit underwater if you add the commission in there. And it didn't do a whole lot, on either side here. So 2-minute chart, not really happening. It's doing the same thing. It's just that component of the chart type is the last leg of the puzzle here for this system. The data feed. When your computer starts recognizing it in the flow, it's going to be a little bit unique to you when you log in, but once it gets going, it gets going. Tick charts, the number of orders that come in per candle is what drives each candle. Volume charts, the number of contracts drive the candles. Range charts would be a vertical range of price. Time, obviously time. You could do seconds. You could do 89 seconds, 89s. So take a fib number of seconds, and I don't know if it'll do 21 days of 89 seconds, just to see a difference here. So that actually did a few more trades than the 2-minute. It came up in win percentage there and actually put up some money on both sides. $790 on not too many trades. That's actually pretty good, the 89 second. If you think about doubling that up, you're at over $1,500 on 48 trades there. And that's with changing the type of chart with everything else being consistent as part of whatever I've set prior. So I'm back to a 300 volume chart going back 21 days. 13, 15, 18, 32. I have the Big Mo filter on here. Yeah, Najam, check out seconds using fib numbers. 55 seconds, 89 seconds. I'd look at 144, 233, 13, 34, 314. So stops, targets, black tip with filters 144. The number of bars beyond overbought and oversold. Here's an area where you can force that black tip to do a little bit more work to give you a signal. So I typically keep this at 1, but you could look at 2. I find that 3 is not useful at all. Also, the overbought and oversold readings themselves, minus 30 and 30 here, that's sort of the starting point. If you were to increase these numbers, you would require price to get stretched further to give you a signal. So you would limit signals typically by increasing that, and by lowering it, price would need to oscillate quite as much to give you a signal. If I was going to crank this up to 34, that means price would need to move further out to squeeze this thing into an overbought or oversold reading, and I'm forcing it to stay out there longer. This would theoretically limit the number of trades here. Go to a 4-hour window here. And now I've done so much damage to it that I've pushed it into some losses, which is fine because this is how you can kind of test the waters to see what these settings do. So it did okay on the short side, but it did a lot worse on the long side there. So this says to me that it's not making enough money when it's short, and the losses are just getting steamrolled every time a long signal is set up. So this is not doing well in a trending environment. Now remember, I've also got that Big Mo requirement on this, and if you wanted to try and limit trades by this extra bar and by pushing these guys out, but you still want to make money, right? Maybe that Big Mo is not doing you any favors there. But maybe you've done enough with the black tip here to filter out some of those other trades that you don't need the Big Mo. Let's see what that does. A little tightrope walk here. So now I've really increased the number of trades quite a bit, but I've really cranked up the profitability as well. And this is also over 21 days. So this is from the 18th to today so far. This is still on active duty here for today. So we're talking about that's 16 days. Basically $184 a day prior to commission. That's just under $12 a trade, which is a little on the low side, but definitely something good to work with there. So I could go back into my graphs. I could go to my my distribution, go to my half hour here, and versus some of the other stuff that we saw, this has really started to show some interesting profit here. This is showing pre-market loss, and I stretch that thing out to an hour, to a 4-hour window, with this information here, begging the time of day here to get adjusted. Oops. See how that does. So I just took off about 40 trades, and I cranked up the profitability about $800. So that's getting even better now. Not too shabby. Now this is cool. Here's a bunch of scalpers being hit. That's the 18-tick scalper being hit. But look at all this stuff here. This is why I use the 32-tick for the trader. This is a killer. So here's the 32-tick target being, that's a tongue twister right there, 32-tick target being hit a bunch of times here. But you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, maybe 25 or so. 25 or so trades booked more than 18 ticks and less than 32 based on either exiting at the end of the day or stopping and reversing. So that's where you're in a momentum run. You haven't hit that target, but you get a stop and reversal signal, or it's the end of the day, and that books that profit. So that kind of keeps you in that momentum run, and that's the benefit right there. Now downstairs here, I got fixed stops being taken out, a whole bunch of them. When I see something like this, I'm thinking, well, something's got to give. Either I could pull these things in more and they'd still be losers and I'd get better profitability, or I pull them back, give more room to work, and some of them start to make that worthwhile. And then, that would then lead you to doing something like this. Oh, by the way, when you're in the chart here, you can go to indicators, and this big Mo here, you could change it to reflect whatever you're using, if you're using something or not. That's a 233, that's a 144. So with a 13 tick and a 15 tick stop, a lot of them are getting hit, right? Even though it's got that kind of profitability. So if I was to, maybe we'll crank this to 11 and make this one 13. It pulled in a couple more trades and it pulled down the profitability. Okay. So now I'll move it to a 15 and an 18. So originally it was a 13, 15. Fascinating. Okay. There we go. So just by pulling the stops out just a little bit there, letting that work a bit, now I've got the profitability up to 4,350, and I've cranked the number of trades down. So win-win there. Percentage profitable up to almost 50, well, it's 57.6% there. And remember that where I mentioned trending, I was making just a little bit and all the longs were getting crushed. Here with this new setting, the longs are actually making money and the shorts are really making a lot of money there. Just like to take a look at that. So it seems like somewhere in the middle here, there's just some funky stuff going on. It's losing some money. I mean, you can't make money every hour, every day. But as a strategy goes, not too shabby, huh? So you can use this cluster trader to hard cut into the market that you're looking at with settings that are showing some real good relevance. And you could either run it as a standalone and let it do what it's going to do, or you could choose to look at this information, even with this good of a performance here, look at how much loss it's putting up. To put those gains up, it actually gained $8,200 on the long side to trump the $6,700 of losses, and on the short side, it gained $8,300 to trump the $5,500 worth of losses. So, you know, $12,200 of loss is underneath this gain. That's how good the profitability was. What about the losing trades when they were in process? Is there something that you could have done that would have limited that? And I would venture to say, with the most basic level 1 skills and some filters that we've talked about, that you would be able to trim that 11 down to maybe 9 or 8, and this thing's going to go up to 5, 6, 7, right? So you can take that to the next level by taking your chart here and finding where these entries were on the chart that you would manage it. So if you're going to manage this auto trade stuff on your 150 oil, then you would find the spot where maybe you got long right here based on the auto trader, and on this chart you're saying, wait a second, I just got a double top here. Sorry, favorable excursion just taken out. I'm not keeping my stops down here. I'm getting more defensive on it because of that. Maybe the system gets you short here and you're just south of a DSR and it starts to break out, and instead of having your stops taken out, you move them down. So those are the things to look at. Where does your entry come in? Where are your exits going to be? Are they playing nice with the DSRs? Now if you got short here and you had a target down here, would you let this thing come all the way back up and erode open position profit, or would you say, hey, wait a second, we're down to a DSR level here and we're starting to bounce up? I can even see the fibs have flipped, taking off my trader down here instead of the stop and reverse wherever that happens to be. Yeah, if you want to pick up the cluster trader, you can. As an existing client, there's a coupon code, something like $1,000 off the normal price. Shoot me an email, George@TradeEmpowered, and I'll get it to you later. To turn off the Big Mo filter there, Jim, it's with filter. It's 9B down here. So if you want it to be with the filter, you'd set that to true, and then whatever value the Big Mo is at number 6 down here. So the way I've got this last strategy set is I'm at a 1518 stops. I'm at an 1832 target. I'm running on black tip only, and then I got 513s, 34s, 2 for the black tip, and I'm at 6:30 to 10 Pacific. Then the last component would be running it on a 300 volume chart. So because I took the Big Mo filter off, what I did to make up for it was I boosted up the bar beyond overbought to 2. That just forces it to be a stronger signal and limits some of the signals. And I also cranked these guys to 34, which pushes them out a bit, and it means the price needs to stretch out a bit more before it fires that black tip signal. So there you have it. All right, folks, so there is some insight to you for the cluster trader. You could run it as standalone. You could take it to the management level on your level 1 chart, where you use the auto trader to put the order in the system for you, so you can't, you know, when it fires off, it's in you've seen it in the live room, right? It happens, it's there, done. You have no choice. Okay, well, I promised you guys a big session today, so hopefully that fit the bill. We did a lot on back testing. We did some on Excel, some programming there. We did some on the basic DSR pattern recognitions, then all this on the cluster trader. And everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you back in the live room next week.